Hi everyone, it's Gaz and welcome back to Avant-Garde Vegan YouTube channel. I'm back today and I'm going to be making a Katsu Curry. A Japanese classic which I've made vegan. I'm going to be using tofu, courgette and butternut squash. First up, it's time to preheat the oil. I've just filled this pot halfway with some sunflower oil. If you have a deep fat fryer, that's perfect for this. Just set it to around 180 degrees. Time to make the base for the curry sauce. First up, we need some red onion. If you want a little demo on how I chop this, go back to a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where I've shown you exactly, but I'm just going to speed through and do that now. Next, some carrot. Just adds a little bit of colour and a nice sweetness. And a banana. Don't think I'm crazy putting this in. This adds that real sweetness that a katsu curry sauce really needs. I just preheated a saucepan behind me. You can get the coconut oil in. Just about a tablespoon there. And I'll let that melt down. That's the sound we want to hear. We'll let this caramelise for a little bit longer, then we'll get our spices in and let them release all their amazing flavours before we get the stock and let it reduce down into that amazing katsu curry sauce. I've got a heaped teaspoon of curry powder and also half a teaspoon of chilli powder, but if you like your curry a little bit spicier, just add a little bit more. And also I'm going to add a teaspoon of garam masala, which is a beautiful mix of spices. Add around a tablespoon of tomato puree. Now it's time to add around about 500 ml of good quality vegetable stock. Next up, lightly season with salt and add a couple drops of soy sauce. I'm just going to move this to the back of the stove on a really low heat, and we're just going to let that reduce down until it's nice and thick, ready to blitz up. Perfect. I've just taken this out of its packet. This is a firm block of tofu. I'm going to put it on top of some kitchen towel, and all we're going to do is just squeeze out some of the excess water. Once you've dried off the tofu, cut the block into two, then cut 1/2 into 1/2-inch slices. That will be enough for the portion sizes I need, because I'm also going to be using some butternut squash, which I've just peeled, and I'm going to cut them into discs. Once you've cut enough squash, move on to the courgette and slice on an angle, keeping each slice a similar size. You can also use aubergine, mushrooms, whatever you fancy. I'm just coating the tofu, butternut squash and courgette in 3 stages. So first into flour, which is just plain flour. Then I've got a mixture of corn flour and water, just so it's kind of sticky, and this just mimics egg. So after putting it in the mixture of corn flour and water, it goes into the panko, and you just want to coat each side like so, and then just give it a little press down to make sure each crumb is compacted onto the tofu. It gets a little bit tricky when you're doing stuff like squash and the courgette, but just make sure you get a good coating of flour and also the corn flour mixture. It's not the end of the world if you don't totally cover the courgette or the butternut squash, because that nice colour of the orange and the green comes through when you cook it in oil. Perfect. The oil is up to temperature now, let's get frying. When you lay them in, make sure you lay them away from yourself and don't drop them from a height, and also make sure you don't overcrowd the pan. Using a spider, turn them over to make sure they're cooking evenly. I put the squash and the tofu in first because they take longer to cook. Meanwhile, let's check on the sauce. This curry sauce has reduced down perfectly. I'm just going to blend this up now so we don't have any of the lumps and make it a traditional katsu curry sauce. Using a hand blender, it doesn't have to be perfect. sauce is done. Let's check the tofu and the squash. Look how golden these are now. It's time to get them out onto a piece of kitchen towel. A good tip to keep these crispy whilst you're cooking the courgette and sorting out the rice is just to sprinkle some salt over. Of course, this helps season everything and brings out the flavours. So just a sprinkling of salt. Get the courgette in, then check your rice. I'm using sushi rice to keep it authentic. I rinsed it thoroughly. Into every cup of rice I added 1.5 cups of water. I allowed it to steam on a low heat for around 10 minutes to get light and fluffy. Wow, the courgettes are looking golden. Let's get them out. Get that salt. Look at the green. I love the green coming through. And they are so crispy. Right, everything's ready. It's time to plate up. A little tip for you, using a ramekin, just spoon the sticky sushi rice into it. And that's a good way of portioning up the rice, making sure everyone gets an equal amount. Just finish pressing it down. I've got these beautiful bowls. Just turn the rice out and give it a little tap. Repeat this process with the rice in the next bowl. Let's add around 5 pieces per person of the beautiful golden squash, courgette and tofu. Garnish the bowls with some fresh mixed salad and for some zing, some radish, which I pickled overnight in rice wine vinegar. Then for more crunch, sugar snap peas. I'm also going to add a sprinkling of peppery cress over the top. And just to finish off, some finely sliced spring onion. Make that salad as colourful, as vibrant and as flavoursome as you can. And not forgetting the amazing rich curry sauce just drizzled over the rice. And to finally finish off, some sprinkle of black and white sesame seeds. And there we have it. That's my katsu curry with tofu, butternut squash and courgette. Wow, let's give this a try. Did you hear that crunch? That's exactly what I want. Let me try a bit of the rice. That is amazing. And if you want to recreate that, don't forget to like, share and comment on this video. And most importantly, please subscribe.